All right, I'm gonna be honest. I have this fear of sticking my hand in the garbage disposal when it's off to try and get something out, and then the garbage disposal turning on. Does anybody else have that fear, or is it just me? And I know some of you are saying, we don't have a garbage disposal. Guess what? We don't have one here in Spain. We had them in the United States, and I've always wondered why. So we're going to take a look at a video here today to try and figure out why that is. The video is why American houses have garbage disposals and no one else does. And it's by US Observer. I will have a link in the description so you can head on over there and do all of the YouTube stuff. This is going to be a super interesting video. Before we get going here, go ahead and like the video. That really helps a lot. Let's see what we can see.
Roughly half of all American homes have a small motor mounted under the kitchen sink that grinds food into tiny pieces and flushes it down the drain. It is called a garbage disposal. Americans treat it as a basic appliance like a dishwasher or a microwave.
So he said more than half of the homes. Okay. And Americans do, I mean, it's like a big deal over there. It's convenient, but I don't think it's great for the environment or something. But that's why we're watching the video, so let's see.
The country that gave the world the iPhone, the assembly line, and the airplane also gave the world a sink that eats food. Now look at the rest of the planet. In the United Kingdom, fewer than 6% of homes have one.
Oh.
In Canada, less than 3%. In Germany, France, Italy, Spain, and most of continental Europe, the number is so low, it does not even register in housing statistics.
Oh, wow.
In some
Okay, so that means it's possible. I don't know. Oh, look, I was just about to say, I don't know why, but I thought it was illegal. So apparently that's what he was just about to say before I paused it like I'm a reaction channel or something. Why would I do that?
The number is so low, it does not even register in housing statistics. In some European cities, installing one is illegal.
Wow.
In others, it is technically legal, but socially unthinkable, like asking your plumber to install a small explosive device next to your refrigerator. So what happened? Why did the United States, alone in the developed world, decide that the correct way to deal with leftover broccoli stems was to liquefy them with an electric blade and send them through the city sewers?
I'm sorry, I just thought that was funny. Why did the United States, alone in the developed world, I think that's what he said. I mean, that's, the United States takes pride in that, I can tell you that. Whether it's good or bad in some cases, but that's interesting.
Was to liquefy them with an electric blade and send them through the city sewers. And why did basically nobody else follow?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Here is the answer up front.
Okay.
The garbage disposal exists because of one Wisconsin architect who was tired of taking out the trash. A swine flu outbreak in 1947 that turned a single Indiana mayor into an evangelist. And the rise of the suburbs in a country with brand new sewer infrastructure built to handle the load. The rest of the world either had older pipes that could not take it, stricter waste regulations, or simply preferred composting. So Americans grind their food, and Europeans put it in a brown bin and roll it to the curb on Tuesdays. Let us go back to where this started, because the inventor's story is genuinely strange.
I mean, I know my wife loves those. They are super convenient. It does create, it's a little bit different. Like we can't put, if you're eating a bowl of cereal and you have like a few little pieces of cereal left over, like you got to find a way to get it into the trash. Like instead of just pour the whole thing, down the sink and turn on the garbage disposal. So, and I do know some of the things that clog up a garbage disposal. I learned from experience that potato peels will clog a garbage disposal. I mean, I'm not saying I did it. Okay. Hey, nobody's here to prove me wrong. So I don't know. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Anyway, let's keep going.
To where this started, because the inventor's story is genuinely strange.
Okay.
In 1927, an architect in Racine, Wisconsin named John Hams started designing the garbage disposal. His motivation was not industrial, not environmental, and not commercial. It was
Right.
that he hated taking out the kitchen trash and wanted to spend less time doing it. That is the actual recorded origin story.
Oh, wow.
He worked at his job during the day and then spent his evenings tinkering in his basement workshop. 6 years of trial and error. Burnt motors, bent blades, broken sink mounts. Patents on similar concepts had been filed before, but none had worked at residential scale. He filed for his patent in 1933. The
Oh,
patent was
wow.
granted in 1935. In 1938, he founded a company called Incinerator, named
Oh.
after the appliance itself. The first commercial unit hit the market in 1940. Picture how absurd this product looked at the time. The kitchen sink, a fixture that had not significantly changed in 50 years, was suddenly being sold with an electric meat grinder bolted to the bottom of it. Plumbers refused to install them at first. Cities passed laws banning them. New York City made garbage disposals illegal for residents for decades.
Wow.
Most American municipalities had ordinances on the books explicitly prohibiting food waste from entering the sewer system. In the eyes of civic engineers in the 1940s, the disposal was a deeply suspicious invention. And then a small town in Indiana changed everything.
What was that like? They thought this little camera under there or something? That's funny.
Suspicious invention. And then a small town in Indiana changed everything.
Oh.
In 1947, Jasper, Indiana had a public health scare. A swine flu outbreak was traced back to a common practice in many American cities at the time, feeding raw food garbage to pigs.
Oh, God.
The local mayor, Herbert Thien, decided the safest thing to do was eliminate household food waste before it ever left the kitchen. He launched a program to install a garbage disposal in every home in Jasper.
Oh.
By 1950, 800 out of 1,200 houses in the town had one. The municipal trash situation transformed. The alleys cleared up. The rats and flies retreated. Public health officials from other cities took notice. Jasper's experiment turned into a national pitch. Incinerator and General
wow.
Electric, the two main manufacturers, began marketing disposals as the modern, sanitary, scientifically advanced way to handle kitchen waste. They placed ads in Vogue and in Better Homes and Gardens. They positioned the disposal as a status symbol. Buying a new suburban house in 1955 and not having a disposal was like buying a new car in 2020 without power windows. It just felt cheap. This is the part of the story that most Americans do not realize. The disposal was not adopted because consumers demanded it. It was sold to them aggressively, framed as part of the modernist American kitchen, alongside the electric range, the refrigerator, and the dishwasher. The whole package.
Oh, wow. So it became like a trendy, like, if you want to keep up with the Joneses, as they say, you got a garbage disposal. That's super interesting, but not surprising. That's how things work in a lot of places in the world, but for sure in the United States.
Kitchen, alongside the electric range, the refrigerator, and the dishwasher. The whole package, counters and gleaming appliances, food vanishing instantly down a sink that could digest it, was the visual language of post-war American prosperity. By the 1960s, disposals had moved from luxury to standard. Compare that to what was happening in Europe. European cities, especially in the older parts of the continent, sat on top of sewer systems that were sometimes 100 years old. London's sewer network, designed by Joseph Bazalgette in the 1860s, was a marvel of Victorian engineering. But it was not built to handle finely ground organic slurry from millions of kitchens. The pipes were narrower in many places. The treatment plants were...
Yeah, look at that. Sometimes I think my boys still think we live where we have a garbage disposal because the sink could look like that. But that's interesting. And I know it's true. Like out here in Spain, I mean, some of the bathrooms, you can't even really put toilet paper down the toilet because the drains, can't handle them. So I totally could see that.
Of kitchens. The pipes were narrower in many places. The treatment plants were smaller, and combined sewer overflow during rainstorms was more sensitive. Paris had similar issues. Rome's plumbing in some districts traces parts of its routing back to ancient infrastructure that was simply paved over and reused.
Hmm.
Adding food waste to that load was not a clean upgrade. It was a load-bearing risk to infrastructure that had been functioning for generations and would be catastrophically expensive to dig up and replace. European municipalities took a different approach. They invested in segregated waste collection, compost bins, organic waste pickup, the brown bin, the food caddy. People are expected to scrape their plate into a small kitchen container, and once a week that container goes outside to be collected and taken to an industrial composting facility.
Right.
The food waste leaves the kitchen, but it goes the trash route, not the plumbing route. A common assumption is that Europeans avoided disposals because they were better recyclers, more environmentally conscious, more committed to composting.
I mean, maybe. I didn't think that. I knew that it had to do with the plumbing. But he hasn't said anything about the environment yet. I wonder if he's going to say anything about that.
The data does not really support that. Some European cities compost rigorously, others do not. Disposals never caught on in Europe because the infrastructure could not handle them, and regulators never cleared the path. The narrative that everyone composts came afterward, as cultural justification for an outcome that was already baked in by pipe diameter and municipal policy. Americans grind food because the suburb was new and the pipes were big. Europeans compost food because the city was old and the pipes were narrow. The values came after the engineering. There is something currently being debated that complicates the whole story. In recent years, Philadelphia began requiring garbage disposals in some new construction because the local wastewater plant can convert the food slurry into electricity and heat through anaerobic digestion. Around the same time, Vancouver proposed restrictions on disposals because their sewers cannot handle the additional organic load.
Vancouver, Washington? Vancouver, Canada. I wonder.
Same appliance. Opposite policy direction. Both decisions were made in the same decade by cities trying to be environmentally responsible. The variable is not the appliance. It is the pipe under the city.
Right.
There is one observation that hits hard once you notice it. When you walk into an American kitchen, food waste disappears at the source. It vanishes the moment it leaves the...
That is not how you do it. If anybody's watching this that has a garbage disposal, don't follow this picture. That's horrible. You're going to get clogged sink, garbage disposal, whatever.
Food waste disappears at the source. It vanishes the moment it leaves the plate.
Okay.
The system is designed to make food waste invisible.
Right.
When you walk into a European kitchen, food waste accumulates visibly. In a small bin on the counter, in a bag under the sink, in the brown container by the back door. You see it.
Yeah.
You smell it a little. You carry it out. And because you see it, you become aware of how much of it you are producing.
Oh, that's interesting. I was wondering where he was going with that. So if you see how much you're producing, is the idea that you'll produce less and protect the environment, maybe? I don't know.
And because you see it, you become aware of how much of it you are producing. Studies have suggested that households with curbside compost programs end up wasting less food than households with disposals.
Yeah.
Because the visibility itself changes behavior.
Actually, that's true. Now that I think about it, in the example that I just gave about the cereal, I mean, sometimes it's like, I just better eat it all because I don't know how I'm going to, this is going to be a pain to like try and filter it out from the milk and blah, blah. So I just eat it. And knowing that I don't have a easy way to get rid of it, I just try and eat as much as I can, save it and eat it later, things like that. So that's true, what he's saying. That's interesting.
Than households with disposals, because the visibility itself changes behavior. The American system is more convenient. The European system is more honest. Neither is automatically better, but they tell you something about what the two cultures 90 years ago decided to optimize for.
Yeah.
So why did the United States build itself around the appliance and nobody else did? Because the country had three things at exactly the right moment.
Okay.
Brand new post-war sewer infrastructure with wide pipes and big treatment capacity, a massive suburban housing boom that needed a kitchen appliance as a status symbol to sell, and an American manufacturing industry that knew how to advertise a small motor.
Okay, so they had the pipes. That's good. Then the next two things are just not uniquely American, but definitely American. Status and the company trying to make money. So that's interesting.
American manufacturing industry that knew how to advertise a small motor as the future of domestic life. Take any of those three factors away, and the disposal stays a niche curiosity. Stack them together, and you get half the country grinding broccoli stems through a hole in the sink. Joseph Bazalgette finished London's sewer system in 1875.
Okay.
He spent 20 years designing it, mapping it, fighting Parliament for funding, and supervising the construction of more than 1,000 miles of brick tunnels under the city. He was solving a cholera problem. He was trying to stop sewage from flowing into the Thames during summer heat waves and killing Londoners by the thousand. What he could not have imagined, what nobody in Victorian London could have imagined, was that the diameter of his pipes would eventually decide which countries, 90 years later, would grind food into their kitchen drains and which countries would not. He set out to fight a disease. He ended up settling a culinary argument that would not even exist for another century.
Oh, wow.
Roughly half.
I mean, he didn't know what he was doing really at the time. That's super interesting. Okay, good. Now I understand why there are no garbage disposals here. And, well, practically no garbage disposals. And there are garbage disposals in the U.S. But he didn't really mention much about the environment, which is what I always thought it was. So, but personally, I know it's convenient to have them, and my wife especially loves them. She talks about it all the time. Well, a lot, I should say. But I just like, the idea that you don't waste as much when it comes to food. So anyway, hopefully you thought that video was interesting. I wanted to do something a little bit different here today. If you like that video, then go ahead and do that. Give it a like, thumbs up, all of that good stuff. My name's Greg. Thanks for joining me here today, and we will catch you on the next video. Peace.